If you've been waiting for the next big camera upgrade, this might be the moment you've been saving for. Because the Sony A7R VI is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated high-resolution mirrorless cameras Sony has ever teased through the rumor world. And if even half of these leaks are true, this could be the camera that quietly destroys everything in its category. Think about it. Sony's A7R line has always been about one thing: insane detail. The kind of detail that makes you zoom into a photo and feel like you're stepping inside the scene. But now, Sony might be preparing to take that identity and inject it with something the A7R series has been missing for years: real next-generation speed. And that's why photographers, videographers, and content creators are watching this camera like hawks. Because the A7R VI isn't just another refresh, it could be a major shift. Let's start with the biggest question everyone's asking. What's the sensor going to be? The current A7R V is already a monster with 61 megapixels, and it delivers stunning dynamic range and detail. But leaks are pointing to Sony pushing beyond that, potentially into the 80 megapixel range or even higher. Now imagine what that means in real-world terms. Ultra-high resolution without stepping into medium format. Landscape photographers would basically be printing billboards. Fashion shooters would be cropping into a face and still seeing every pore with scary sharpness. And wildlife photographers could crop aggressively and still deliver pro-level detail. But there's something more important than pure megapixels: the sensor technology itself. The rumors suggest Sony may upgrade the sensor design for faster readout, which means reduced rolling shutter, improved burst performance, and better video handling. Translation: the A7R VI could finally become what people always wanted the A7R series to be: a resolution beast that doesn't feel slow. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Sony has been experimenting with partially stacked sensors and faster processing in other lines, and the A7 lineup has recently shown signs of that evolution. If Sony brings that speed into the A7R VI, even partially, it could change everything. One of the biggest frustrations with ultra-high megapixel bodies is that they can feel like studio cameras, great when your subject is still, but stressful when movement happens. But if Sony makes the A7R VI faster with better readout, you're looking at a camera that can realistically handle action, sports moments, wildlife bursts, and fast-paced content, while still being a high-resolution monster. And in the real world, that would make it one of the most versatile full-frame cameras ever created. Autofocus is expected to get a serious upgrade too. Sony has been building AI-powered autofocus like it's a weapon. Face tracking, eye tracking, animal tracking, bird tracking, even insect-level precision in some scenarios. The A7R V already introduced an AI processing unit that dramatically improved subject recognition. But leaks suggest the A7R VI could go even further, possibly offering smarter tracking behavior in crowded scenes and more consistent lock-on during erratic movement. That's huge for creators because autofocus is no longer just a feature. It's the difference between usable footage and unwatchable footage. If Sony gives the A7R VI the kind of autofocus that feels like cheating, a lot of Canon and Nikon users are going to start asking uncomfortable questions. Now let's talk video, because this is where Sony could shock everyone. Traditionally, the A7R line has been photo first. Yes, it offers strong video specs, but it wasn't built to be a cinema camera. But the leaks around the A7R VI suggest Sony might finally break that old tradition. People are talking about upgraded 8K capabilities, potentially higher frame rates, and better thermal management. And even if we take those rumors carefully, Sony is clearly under pressure, because today's creators don't want photo camera with video. They want a camera that can do both at an elite level. If the A7R VI brings cleaner 8K recording, better stabilization, improved codecs, and more flexible color options, this camera won't just compete with high-res bodies. It will compete with hybrid kings. And the moment that happens, this becomes the camera that could dominate YouTube creators, commercial shooters, and even indie filmmakers who want a single body that can deli for premium images and premium video. Another massive area that's being discussed is stabilization. Sony has been improving IBIS year after year, and the A7R V already offered strong stabilization for such a high-resolution sensor. But if the A7R VI improves IBIS further, handheld shooting becomes even more powerful, especially for run-and-gun creators. Imagine walking through a city at night, filming handheld 4K, and it looks smooth and stable without a gimbal. Imagine shooting high-resolution stills handheld with less blur, fewer retakes, and faster workflow. This matters more than most people realize because stabilization is not just comfort, it directly impacts image quality, productivity, and even creativity. And speaking of workflow, one quiet but extremely important upgrade could be in processing power and buffer. The A7R series has always been insanely detailed, but those massive files can slow down your workflow if the camera can't handle them fast enough. Rumors suggest the A7R VI may get faster internal processing, better burst depth, improved memory handling, and faster write speeds. That could mean less waiting, faster transfers, and a camera that feels responsive even while shooting huge RAW files. In real-world use, this is the difference between loving your camera and feeling like you're fighting your camera. Now let's talk about the body itself. Sony has been slowly refining ergonomics, menus, screen design, and usability. Most A7R shooters will tell you Sony finally nailed the menu system in recent generations. If the A7R VI continues this, better grip comfort, better button customization, improved weather sealing, and maybe even a more advanced tilt and rotate screen, it becomes a machine designed for professionals who shoot long hours. And when a camera becomes more comfortable and efficient, you shoot more. You take more creative risks. You focus on the art instead of the settings. That's the kind of upgrade that doesn't show up on a spec sheet, but it changes everything. But here's the part that makes the A7R VI feel like a real event. Timing. The A7R V launched back in 2022, and in camera years, that's ancient. Sony's competitors have been aggressively pushing new sensor tech, better video performance, and smarter autofocus. Sony can't afford to release a boring update here. The A7R line is supposed to represent the peak of detail and intelligence in Sony's ecosystem. So if Sony releases the A7R VI, it has to be something that makes photographers and creators stop scrolling and say, okay, this is it. And judging by the leaks, Sony knows that. Now, let's be realistic. Leaks are leaks. Not all rumors come true. But what makes this situation different is that multiple sources keep pointing to the same direction. Higher performance, more speed, upgraded sensor tech, and a clear move toward making the A7R line feel more hybrid than ever. And even if Sony doesn't go full cinema mode with this camera, even small upgrades in readout speed and processing could massively improve video usability, especially if Sony reduces overheating issues and improves recording stability. That alone would make creators excited.